So, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. But if you're new here, my name is Chris Snyder, and I develop AI automations and workflows for businesses. And for today's video, what we're going to hop into is a little bit more of an informational video, and especially for people who are new into this space or businesses out there who do not have enough information on AI implementation in itself. This is going to be a little bit of a video about what I wish I knew personally before I started building AI agents, and the information that I wish I knew beforehand. And hopefully, if you're a business out there watching this, that you can hopefully find this video very informative, and hopefully you can take something away and start implementing some of these ideas into your businesses yourself. So without further ado, let's get into this presentation. Alright, so heading into this first slide here, what I wish I knew before I started building AI agents. We'll move on to the next slide here. But first of all, what are AI agents? And to put it short and sweet, essentially your own personal employee that has the following. I don't want to go, too in depth about this definition per se. Basically, well, I could give you, all the definitions on, it's an LLM model, or, just go in depth about that. But I just want to keep it short and sweet. But essentially, your own personal employee that does not sleep, so it is, like I said, essentially it's just going to be your own personal employee that does specific tasks whenever it is automated to do so. And unfortunately, it is a cheaper alternative to hiring someone else. So like I said, when it comes to, handling, these tasks, such as, if you want someone to handle your entire email workflow, for example, for what I posted on my last video, it is a much cheaper alternative compared to, hiring an email copywriter, let's just say, for example, to handle your email marketing. And you could just build out, these agents and workflows to do the work for you at a fraction of the cost. And, it's just an unfortunate reality that, AI agents have just become, this powerful and game breaking that, it's just, if you're not utilizing these AI agents to automate your tasks, you are just going to have to face reality of, having to pay someone a lot more than you would to just building an AI agent or having someone else build your AI agents and workflows for your own business. Has a perfect memory, so like I said, it's a large language model. Essentially, the AI agent, it has its own brain, and once it's stored inside of its database or whichever platform you do use for your database to store all your data for your business within the AI agent, it's never going to forget that memory. And maybe sometimes humans can forget a following task, and it's fine, of course, but that's just essentially what AI agents are programmed to do, essentially. And like I said, it has a near perfect memory. It's not going to forget to do a specific task, especially when you prompt it and script it to do so, to follow that specific task. And like I said, leading on to the next step, we'll follow instructions when prompted to. But like I said, especially in my last video as well, for AI agents, you have to prompt these agents correctly. Like, if you just stuff an AI agent out there for your business, for example, and you don't prompt it with any scripts, then it's just going to have its own autonomous decision making, and it's not going to follow a set, uh, sorry, a strict set of rules and parameters to follow for your business. And like I said, if you don't have these prompts in place within your AI agent, it kind of ruins the whole beauty of just having it automate these specific tasks for your business. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this slide. So let's head on to the next slide. All right, so heading on to the next slide here. How do AI agents work? And the diagram kind of speaks for itself. Basically, AI agent, the LLM, basically the brain that surrounds the AI agent that automates basically whatever it is programmed to output and respond to. And if you give it access to tools like, for example, like I said, Google, Gmail, your Excel sheets, or your Microsoft Word documents, it'll just take any. And like I said, there's plenty of other examples as well. Obviously, not just the four on screen, but if you give it access to as many tools as you can, or whichever tools you do use for your business, and you prompt it, the agent to do specifically the task, so such as like handling your Excel sheets or organizing it in this specific pattern, or creating projects or documents that you just want formatted in a very specific way. It can also handle stuff like that for you. And like I said in the last video, handling your email workflows as well. And if you are curious about just, even just searching anything, or if you want just more information on something, it can just use as many tools as you give it to just complete your specific tasks. But yeah, that's gonna be it for that slide. So let's move on to the next. So moving on to the next slide here. Obviously this channel is surrounded around, me building, agents, workflows, and automations. But why should you even care in the first place? Why are you even watching my videos right now? And obviously, you can tell from the list. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to get in a little bit more in depth about some of these topics. You can build them fairly easy. Now, what I will say is building the agents themselves do become a bit of a simple task once you do, start getting used to, just, extracting data from like API keys and then implementing them into whichever agent software you do use, like for example Zapier or Relevance or NAN. When you start, like, it just, it's as simple as like extracting API keys from whichever LLM model you do use and then just implementing them into your AI agent software, whichever one you do use or prefer. But one thing I will say is when you start to build these large infrastructures and large workflows that are starting to surround these agents, that is when it does become a little bit more tricky and complicated. But just building the agents themselves, they do become a bit easy. It just takes, practice and getting used to it over time. Same thing with everything else in life. But like I said, when it comes to like building these large infrastructures and workflows to like handle these large tasks for businesses, is when it does start to become a bit more complicated and a bit more tedious to develop. And especially with me, I mean, when I was, first starting to build out these, agents and workflows for myself, it was, the workflows themselves were definitely a bit more complicated to start implementing over time. But like I said, it didn't take me too long to just, just build out, specific agents themselves. It's not too difficult, but, like I said, when it comes to building like these huge infrastructures and workflows is when it does start to get a bit more complicated. And another thing I want to talk about here specifically too, be able to leverage more time. And that is the biggest thing with these agents and these, workflows that you do start to develop for these businesses, is the ability to leverage time. And not only is it more, like I said earlier, cost efficient as well, but you will have more time to focus on the tasks that truly matter, such as, closing, if it's like sales calls, for example, or if just like handling, product research for your business, or just for example, or what's another example I can use? Just scraping lead generation so you don't have to worry about any of the outreach processing in the first place. It's just things like that that start to truly build up over time. You may not really like initialize it at first because you'll just be like, oh yeah, I can do this task, myself, and like I have the ability to do it myself. But the thing is like when you start to like really get used to implementing these workflows and infrastructures in your business, you will slowly start to know over time that just the amount of time that you are like truly saving to dedicating your time to something else that you need to fix within your own business. And that is when these workflows and infrastructures and just building the agents themselves really start to scale your business to, like I said, unheard heights that you thought were even possible in the first place. And it's so, like I said earlier, it's so easy to just say that, I can do this task myself. And, well, yes, you can. And we're not discrediting that whatsoever. It's just the fact that you will have so much more time on your hands. And if there's another lacking part of your business that you do need to dedicate more time and importance to, you will have the ability to do that because your AI workflows and infrastructures are handling the tedious tasks for you in the first place. But yeah, I just really wanted to touch on that and just to make it clear just how important it is to just have more time on your hands to focus on, maybe if it's a lacking part of your business that you do need to fix, or if it's a part of your business that you need to focus on for it to grow initially. like I said, I really want to touch on that. Like I said, the ability to adapt and scale your business, it does touch on, what I just said earlier as well. And last thing, it is the future. It's just, it's the case. Like, just the ability to handle, tedious tasks that, humans themselves can do in the first place. And just handling those tedious tasks so you do not have to handle them yourselves. But yeah, that's going to be it for that slide. So we'll move on to the next. Now, moving on to this slide here, the golden age, and it truly is. As you can see, I did a little Google Trends research on just the word AI agents, and as you can clearly see by the data, interest over time in the past 5 years, it has increased to absolutely unheard heights. So this is just another, reason as to why you need to start implementing these agents and workflows into your business. And there's absolutely no excuse as to why this shouldn't be the case. If you're not, you're just simply going to be falling behind. It's just the reality. You're going to be hiring or other people to handle these tasks when you could just build out these workflows and infrastructures, or just have someone else do them for you in general, just so you don't have to do it yourself in the first place, and you get to focus on the parts of your business that truly matter. But like I said, as you can tell by the data, this is the golden age, an opportunity to start building these agents and workflows. And even for people out there who are trying to, start building these agents and workflows, like I said, there is no better time than now to start building these agents and workflows. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for that slide. Let's move on to the next. So moving on to the final slide that we do have here, how to get the most use out of these agents. Now, there are literally so many examples out there that I clearly do not have enough to put on this screen initially, but I wanted to input these two specifically, so marketing, customer success, and support, because these are the most time-consuming parts for, like, e-commerce businesses, for example. Like, these are the most time-consuming tasks that you do have to handle. And I really wanted to just put these two and just touch on these two factors initially, just because these are the most time-consuming tasks, and they are the most important within your business as well. So I really just wanted to touch on these two topics initially. So obviously, as we can see on the screen, we have, for marketing, we have content creation, cold outreach, for scraping leads to qualify leads, and for also prompting on follow-ups as well. And one thing that I did forget to put on here as well, that I forgot to touch on initially, is so let's just say you're a smaller performing e-commerce business, for example, and you're performing within the same niche of, let's just say, another business that's just performing at a really high level, right? And you can literally scrape the data from these ads. So you could go to TikTok ad library, and you can search within the same niche of your competitor. And like I said, if you're a smaller performing business, just look at the top performing ads within your specific business niche at your competitor, and you can literally scrape data from have an agent that can specifically scrape data from your competitor. So I don't think it gets into the specifics of, like, extracting data from, like, their CPA or their CPMs, for example, but I know it does extract data for conversion rate on that specific ad. So getting the ad to convert, the customer to their website. You can literally extract data from these ads, and you can also extract data such as, the call to action, or the body, or, the initial hook on that specific ad. You can extract data from your top performing competitors, extract the data from their ads, and have an agent that will literally extract the data and then send it to you, so you can have a marketing solution to your specific business niche that you do want to perform in and start to advertise in. And I really wanted to touch on that as well, because I did forget to put it in here initially. But like I said, like, the sky is the limit when it comes to having agents and workflows designed for, handling your marketing needs in the first place. So like I said, that's just a prime example of what I wanted to touch on. And like I said, having agents and workflows designed to help your marketing needs is not only, very great for, just saving your time initially, but also just having the best performing results that you can have as well. Use it for just, just better results, not only just for, doing the tedious tasks such as, cold outreach. Use it so you can have literally the best results when you are, having your marketing funnels and flows initially in the first place, and start to implement them into your business. So I really just want to touch on that specifically, but the next part that we do have here, customer success and support. So this is the other thing that I did want to implement onto this slide specifically, because I feel like customer support is truly one of the most time-consuming parts for any business out there. And as you can see from the examples on screen for what you can do to get the most use out of the agent specifically, automating customer support, acquiring customer feedback, receiving client reports, and boosting relationships with existing customers. And like I said, customer support is a very time-consuming task, and having agents or workflows implemented to handle this task specifically in the first place is so essential. But another thing that I do want to touch on as well is you also want to give great customer support, because I feel like if your customer support is lacking in your business, then there are going to be a lot of dissatisfied customers that are not going to be happy with your particular brand or business if your customer support is lacking. So like I said, I included this in my last video as well. I had a whole response feedback agent. So if there was a customer out there who was to express, or just who wasn't a satisfied customer, or was a very satisfied customer, and they expressed that in an email and send that email to your business email, and I had the agent automate this, it would literally be programmed to give it the best response feedback that it could possibly give. And also, if you had like any discounts or promos to where a customer was to express great satisfaction towards your business, it would literally, or you can literally just have it programmed to have a specific promo code, or just give it a specific discount code as well. So that's another thing that I did implement. It, like I said, it's just giving the best customer support that you could possibly give. Not necessarily just having it just so you just have it implemented in place to just handle the tedious task itself, but also just having it programmed and setting strict parameters as well, so you can give the best customer support and also response feedback from your existing customers as well, so you can have the best customer support process for your business. And that's why I feel like it is truly one of the most important parts to implement agents and workflows, to not only just handle the time-consuming, tedious task that is customer support, but also just giving the best customer feedback and the best customer response, and just having very satisfied customers in the first place. And I feel like that's truly a task that not a lot of businesses do focus on, because I do see agents and workflows out there to just handle the customer support task itself, but it's not specifically designed to give the best customer support itself. It's just simply handling the task. And that's why I had the response feedback agent in my last video as well, so it could literally give the best customer support to that specific clientele or customer that it could possibly give out. But yeah, that's why I wanted to implement this in here, so you can get the most use out of these agents that you start to implement into your business. And yeah, that's gonna be it for that final slide. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this little presentation that I put together for you all today. And if you're a business out there watching this video, I hope you found this video very informative on how you can have agents and workflows implemented into your business. And if you're someone who's trying to build these agents or workflows as well, I hope you found this video very informative and helpful as well. And if you're a business out there who wants to have something like an AI workflow or automation implemented to your business, make sure you go to my YouTube profile and have my business email in my bio. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video.